To this day, this show has me by the heartstrings. Disney's Mighty Ducks, the animated series, was one of those things that seemed to come out of nowhere. But let me set the stage a bit. It's September 1996 and my family and I are living in Southwest Harbor, Maine, in the house with the purple doors. I am weeks away from turning 8 years old. Friday, September 6th in the afternoon, I put on the TV in my room and catch a short scene of a show.
With what's left of the military in the resistance.
The resistance? It really exists?
I'm organizing a team of our best special forces and a few civilians we've had our eyes on, like you. We're gonna take out Dragonis.
How? Nobody's ever seen them.
I founded Wildwing.
I didn't know what to make of it, and coming in the middle, I didn't know what was going on, so I kinda left it. But then that evening, my mom mentioned that Disney would be showcasing their Saturday morning cartoons that evening, and said that I should watch it. My mom didn't know what she would start by doing this. For this time, I watched the full pilot in my room on my little TV VCR unit, and that was all I needed to dive in. Something just clicked. 7, 8 years old is the perfect age for getting into a sci-fi adventure. Their story caught my curiosity, but the characters themselves is what kept me. It was a world of my own to learn about and share with my parents and friends. Also, it helps that both my parents were active when it came to my interests. My mom never forced gender-specific things on me, and my dad loves superhero stuff. Both would watch the show with me and let me express my creativity as my interest grew. I remember a week after seeing the pilot, I had missed most of an episode on Friday the 13th that following week. My answer to this? Start recording it. No joke, it came on the next morning for Saturday morning cartoons, and I asked my dad for a tape to record it, and it was the first time I had recorded anything on my own before. And my connection to the show only grew from there, as I would then start playing out adventures. My poor bunk bed withstood a lot of climbing, as I used it to be the vehicles of the show. I continued to record almost every episode on my own and getting attached to the heroes I was watching. Although, funny story, that episode I missed was one of the last ones I would end up taping, getting them all. Because every time it came on in between, I was unable to tape it. Without fail, no joke. We'd go to my Nana and Papa's and it would be on. But then, in the spring of '97, we were getting ready to move, and our cable was about to be cut off for it. I was scared I wouldn't get the last 2 episodes that I needed. So my mom started taping it for me to try and get the episodes I needed. At this point, it was also airing on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings on Fox, oddly enough, while I was at school. Guess what 2 episodes came on just before the cable got cut off? I always just imagine my mom bending the universe to her will so her daughter can have her superhero duck show on tape. And now, speaking of the heroes, it's time I talked about what made me love the show so much in the first place. Oh, and this is your spoiler warning, as I am about to talk about characters, story, themes, and the impacts made. For the record, there is not a single team member here that I don't admire in some way. Heck, even all of the side characters I have grown a soft spot for over the years.
Oh, a spectacular save by the Mighty Ducks goalie, Wildwing!
Let's begin with the Mighty Ducks team captain, Wildwing. He was a very level-headed and confident character to look up to, though he didn't start out that way. Being a normal teenager on his home planet, Wildwing was just a kid in high school when his home was invaded. In fact, Wildwing mainly agreed to join so he could help his younger brother, Nosedive, join as well.
No. If you want me, then my brother's part of the deal.
Okay, but you're responsible for the kid's safety.
All right, bro. This smacks of a serious party.
Oh, I should probably back up a little bit. The Mighty Ducks are from a whole other universe and a planet called Puckworld. There, hockey is the base of their culture. Then they were invaded by Dragonus, an evil overlord of the Saurians, a race of lizard people, to begin his conquering of the galaxy. So, Kennard began gathering unique individuals to face off against the Saurians. So back to Wildwing. In that first mission, he is put through a lot. He nearly gets killed, is pushed to become the leader when...
Take it, Wildwing! Take it!
Hang on!
Take it. You're team captain now.
and is forced to follow the Saurians to another dimension with the team in hopes of capturing him, thus completing their mission in hopes that they can eventually return to Puckworld. Yet then they end up stuck in this new realm in doing this. So now, Wildwing has to adjust to a lot of change and become the leader the others need him to be. And with proper support, he does this.
Wrong dino breath.
Wing is one of those characters I always looked up to, but understood better as I got older. He never loses sight of what's important. As critical as their mission is, the safety of his team comes first. He also has a lot of patience. He has a high moral code, doing things by the book as much as possible, trying to prevent collateral damage during combat, and looking out for the innocent. And the other aspect of him I understand better now, having a younger brother to look out for. Funny thing, my mom became pregnant for my little brother while I was getting into the show, and thus my brother doesn't even know a time where this wasn't a part of me. Just a cute note. But as an older sibling, it's hard to balance being protective and giving your younger sibling room to grow, and it's something I still at times work on.
Lucy, I'm home!
Those guys shoot! He scores!
This brings me to Nosedive. Dive has always been a fun character to grow up watching. He had a lot of energy, thought outside the box, and called out things that needed addressing at times without hesitation. I often wonder if Dive is my spirit animal? Alien? Well, you get the idea.
Every time we save the world, that guy yells at us. Humans are such a bunch of people.
That quote rings in my head more often than it probably should, but nonetheless it resonates with me. Also, Nosedive is one of the earliest fourth wall breakers that I can recall. Other characters I knew of did it, including most of the cast themselves, but Dive disintegrated it.
Man, if I don't win an Emmy for this, there is no justice!
Being my second favorite to this day, Nosedive has always gotten me to laugh when I needed it. Maybe that sounds odd, but honestly, not long after moving from Maine did other things start happening. Bullies caused me to become more introverted, and other hardships would begin creeping into my life. In a lot of ways, I had to grow up sooner, but things like the team always allowed me to be a kid when I needed to be. Thinking about it, Dive was great for this, showing you can be mature and be kid-like at the same time, and have good humor about things to boot. I could grow up, but not grow old, thus spawning Kid Heart as my handle. Huh. Thanks, Dive. I also always loved it when Nosedive teamed up with Grin. Their dynamic always brought a smile when I watched them.
And a car.
That's 'cause he's a cartoon bear, for crying out loud!
Last member of the team was a guy named Grin. He was so strong, he could bend steel just by looking at it.
Pain is an illusion. An illusion that really, really hurts.
This now brings me to the gentle giant of the group. At the time, it was rare to see the muscle also be the sage of the group. Beast from X-Men is the only other one that comes to mind from that time period. So, Grin was a welcome change of pace. He was strong, but philosophical. And he has some of the best quotes that I go back to still.
No, I won't fight you. Very well. You seek enlightenment the hard way.
Former thief.
We gain by what we leave behind.
Grin was also a very morally sound character. Having grown from personal experiences, he started as an angry kid that was then mentored by a hockey master on Puckworld, and thus shown a better path. Now he offers the same to those he meets. Grin just has a calming presence about him. Granted, when needed, he uses his brawn to fight back, but does so in an unshattered way. This also shows in his faith in his path and others, especially his teammates. Grin has immense trust in them, even when it shows to be difficult. But his unwavering ideals fortify him. He affects others through this, and he certainly left an impression with me to stand for my ideals when it's hard as well. Also, as a side note, Grin was one of my dad's 2 favorites.
First up was Mallory, a top-flight commando and weapons specialist.
I hate machines.
Then there was Tanya, an expert in science and, technical stuff. She was so good, she actually knew how to set a timer on her VCR.
Scratch one oversized toaster oven.
Now this brings me to Mallory and Tanya. Both of these ladies were amazing role models to grow up with as a girl. For both of them went against what the norm was for women characters without sacrificing being feminine. Starting with Mallory. Mallory doesn't take anything from anyone. As a part of Puckworld Special Forces, she knows how to handle herself on the battlefield as well as the ice. Though while she is tough, she also isn't afraid to show the side of her that enjoys shopping. Mal always had a fun energy to balance out her temper. And she certainly had her sweet moments too, showing why she chose a career in defending others. To me, she always promoted being into interests regardless of gender, allowing me to wear what I loved on my sleeve, such as video games, comics, and shows like this. Now I teach this to my students, telling them I enjoyed dolls and action figures while growing up. Also, even as I grew more shy, I did stand up for my friends or called out bullies when I needed to. Tanya also played a part in this. Tanya's one of the smartest ladies that I grew up watching. It's been said that she stutters because she thinks faster than she speaks, and it shows. She builds their vehicles, gear, master computer, and helps figure out things with the others. Also, as someone that struggles with anxiety myself, Tanya shines to me most when she's using her knowledge and skills to protect others and face her own fears at the same time. She is also shown to be very sweet, and she appears to be their medic as well. Also, I am convinced she might have a crush on Wildwing.
Wildwing!
Thanks, Tanya. Appreciate it.
Wildwing! You're okay!
And, as another side note, Tanya is my dad's second favorite. And now this brings me to...
Next was Duke L'Orange, the most notorious jewel thief on Puckworld. But ever since Dragonis hit town, he'd been putting his skills to good use.
This food belongs to the people, not that tyrant Dragonis.
My absolute favorite. No joke, I love this character. He is, I guess, what my friends call my husbando. See, I am a firm believer of the Peter Pan-esque crush, where you still kind of crush on the childhood character, actor, singer, whatever, no matter how old you get. Well, Duke is certainly mine. Though, while growing up, I have had a few friends, when sharing crushes, pause and ask, what? Why? What about this, duck, makes you go, I love him? Well, today I am going to try and answer this, I guess. A part of this stems from the fact that Duke didn't have a romantic interest attached to him. I know this isn't something that deters fanworks and crushes for most with their favorite characters, but for me it gave free reign in a way to create a character to have adventures with. And seeing how all of my friends liked anime and video game characters, and apparently thought my crush was weird, it made it feel more unique to me. I didn't have to fight over my crush, as weird as that sounds. I also didn't mind being the weird one. So you remember how I mentioned catching that clip on Friday the 13th? Well, that last line from Duke is what started it.
Check is that? Well, I could really go for some hot cocoa. You know, I might even curl up with a good book.
To this day, I don't know what about him reading a book got me crushing on him, but it certainly did. Though him being an ex-thief was the real thread that pulled me in. Noble thieves are a favorite character type of mine. In fact, I often play them in tabletop games. And this rogue was smooth, but also friendly and supportive. He was also surprisingly considered to be the moral compass of the group, as he was the one to encourage them to become crime fighters in the first place.
Hey, I've been on the wrong side of the law, and if we don't fight evil wherever we find it, we're no better than Dragonis himself.
He's right. Let's go.
Despite his history, he has a very noble nature, but he also shows pride in the skills he gained from that past.
Oh yeah!
And Duke, as a character, is very much a Drake of my interests. He has a smooth, streetwise demeanor while also appearing friendly. He has a noble nature and a drive to protect. And while cemented in being a hero, he still has pride in the skills he gained from his life as an outlaw. It's worth noting that some missions wouldn't be possible without his skill set. That, and they would have lost Wildwing in the first mission if he hadn't been there. Duke also seems to have quite the craving for adventure, as he takes a shine to the fantasy version of Anaheim.
Came to Anaheim from another dimension, right?
I know, I saw that episode. Go on.
So, we've been sent to a totally different dimension. A dimension that's ruled by magic. Sorcery, adventure. Oh yeah, this is my kind of town, baby.
He is getting really into it, almost taking the lead at points. As a fan of dragons and fantasy, this resonates with me quite a bit. Heck, when playing tabletop games, I tend to play rogue-based characters, and it probably stems from him at least a little bit. But seeing him jump into this heroic role does show the kind of character he is. He's smooth, but has no problem making a pun as well. Heroic, but with a bit of an edge that he owns.
Don't count on it.
And then, of course, there's his key episode, To Catch a Duck, which is one of my favorite things to watch, period. Just him mentioning his old gang that he led, the Brotherhood of the Blade, just once, got my imagination going in full gear. This is what pushed me as a teen later on to start creating fan work. I started drawing and writing, becoming a notable creator in the team's small but dedicated fan community, and I still get requests for more content, and it started with...
Crime?
Kind of over-accessorized there, aren't you, buddy boy?
Those are burglar tools.
Nah, hunting tools.
Oh boy. I've always adored this episode. It never gets old to me, for it was a unique window into Duke's past, as he had to act as though he had changed sides to get intel on Dragonis' plan from his old rival. He does this, by the way, with everyone but Grin believing he has changed sides. Yeah, he goes through all of this knowing the others don't trust him at the moment, risking everything to save the world. For if he told the others, actually, no, he tried to tell them, but they still didn't believe him. And either way, it wouldn't have been too convincing. So, good grief. It's also a much more personal threat, as Duke knows Falcone and is nearly arrested and nearly killed twice because of him.
Talking, Falcone. What's this all about?
Is that Ray? I'll be the greatest top chief.
But at the same time, Duke just owns the episode. He's confident in his skills, knows what he has to do to help save the world, and he does it with some faith that he'll show everyone that they can trust him. Just look at him in these scenes.
Have you changed sides or what?
Hey, of course not. But I had to make him think I did to find out what Dragonis is up to.
Speaking of which, what is Dragonis up to?
That ship is equipped with some kind of mind-wipe ray. You gotta take it down.
It really shows why I held on to such a crush. He owns his past, like I said, rather than it haunting him. And he is cemented still as the hero he wants to be. That, and the end of this episode warms my heart every single time I watch it.
Peace with your past, and so have we.
Well, I was kinda hurt. But hey, I can never stay mad at you guys for very long. Come here, group hug.
Oh, great. Group hugs are so cool. Okay, that's about enough.
Now we can stow our gear and... Hey! Where is our gear?
What the? Duke? And the rest of them.
Very funny.
Hey, I gotta keep my skills sharp, right?
I love it. It really is my favorite scene of the whole series. So, I'll admit now that when watching this episode later on again as a teen, I recall a light bulb of interest going off in my head. Duke at this point was a very familiar character already to me. I had begun writing out adventures by now as an escape from hardships in my life. You see, my mom was very sick at this point, and to escape the growing stress, I turned to writing, creating a character to adventure and be a hero with the team. Through writing, Duke became a character I could confide in when I was lonely, someone to share a quick adventure or late-night conversation with in a way. Duke was always a source of comfort to me as a character. I've known him since I was quite young. He stayed due to being unique and in tune with what I happen to like. And it's not just his smooth side that I adore. Duke has a fun and supportive side as well, rounding him out quite nicely. He shows concern for his teammates and gives advice when he can. And as I said before, he is not afraid to have a sense of humor ranging from puns to sometimes a little dark.
Oh, that's one way to get ahead.
Not to mention a confidence that sometimes gets him in trouble, but it adds to his charm to me. Not that he needs extra points in that, but he wouldn't be the same without those aspects, at least to me.
Dragonis! Hey, on your guard, chump! Let's just find out what you're really made of, huh? Okay.
Evidently you made of errors, some.
Through Duke and the team, I started writing and drawing, honing and sharpening my own skills. With him as an inspiration, I learned to embrace my own nature as well as the memories that shaped who I am now. By writing for him, I projected ideas of what love would be like one day, helping me to find it in the ways it mattered most, as in finding someone to connect and bond with, even if it means being a bit odd together. I also happen to know now that I am not alone in remembering this show. Through writing and drawing, I have forged lasting friendships with other fans across the country as well as outside of it. Wonderful authors, artists, and just people in general. I call them my teammates due to this connection that stemmed from a shared bond over one of our favorite shows. It was actually thanks to one of them that I came back to writing for the team after a 10-year hiatus back in 2018. Now I'm still going strong with active readers, commenting, and requesting more chapters, and am more connected with my teammates than ever before. Adding to all of this, the team's slogan,
We'll be stuck here forever.
I've gotta do it. I promised a friend I'd stop those lizards, no matter what it takes.
that they established in the final episode, became my mantra in life. That quote pushed me in pursuing writing, drawing, and other art forms, as well as pushing on in life when things got tough. It was never used as a push someone over to get ahead sort of message, but to push oneself to improve, and that's why I held on to it.
You can do it, Dive! No matter what it takes, buddy!
Last September 6th, the show celebrated its 25th anniversary. It's crazy to think it's been that long. The late David Weiss helped to create and write for characters that will be remembered fondly. That's an amazing thing for any artist to accomplish. For me, it was the right thing at the right time. It struck a chord and is now one of my core roots. Through them, I learned things like accepting others despite appearance or how strange they may seem. I learned to give others a chance to mixed results, but that's always the risk anyway. And to keep going even if life doesn't go how you think it will. Yeah, they never go back to Puckworld. They get stuck on Earth permanently, but they remain as heroes on and off the ice. This has been an important lesson for me to carry on. The team grew individually and united, and they impacted me in this manner. So, strange premise or not, I think I've hopefully shown just why this series was so crucial to me. It had a creative premise, wonderful animation, sharp writing, fun adventures, and characters that have lasted, to me at least. That, and it always reminds me of how involved my parents were with my interests. Like I said, my dad watched it often with me and read my stories when I started writing. My mom helped me tape each episode just because it meant so much to me and knew it would make me smile. They even took me to the actual Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California, just so I could see it for myself while we were moving to Seattle that summer. I stood at those doors, got a photo with the statue of Wildwing, and the lady at the gift shop even let me inside to see the rink for myself. It was a very special moment of my life made possible because my parents embraced me and my interests. I think that's what the team is at its core to me, a symbol of that amazing time, that spark of imagination, and when needed, a second family in a way to return to when I needed that reminder. Their headquarters was my base. Their episodes were adventures for my kid self to share and older self to reflect on while writing. And I know I'm not the only one that has such a connection with a show like this. as I have seen such accounts shared over TMNT, Batman, and others. The Mighty Ducks happens to be one of mine, and all of this is why. I'm Kid Hart, and aim for your dreams, no matter what it takes.